mentioned, we have just our general updates. Our webpage has had a few downgrades, if you would, based on date of publication. So what you see here is our most current information as we are able to publish it. However, you'll know that the Summer of eLearning conferences for 2015 were recently released, and those are not on this webpage because of that inability to update. We have shared that information on the Pulse, which you can reach through the webpage, plus you can find that on Twitter. And the same for the Hoosier Student Digital Leaders, which I'll speak to in a bit. Everything else, though, is pretty current on here, and so definitely encourage you to visit us at coe.in.gov/elearning, and I'll drop that link in there to the chat window in just a moment. For those of you who are in the webinar, we definitely encourage you to use the chat window. So if it's not open for you right now, if you hover over the little green bar at the top of your screen where it says Viewing Mary Carnahan's application, you can access that chat window again. And then please use that for sharing questions. But before you start to post, where it says Send To, make sure it says Everyone and not just Mary, because while she's important, the rest of us are curious what's going on in your heads. So let's go ahead and advance the slide. So next month, we are going to be doing a lesson with our digital content cohort folks, and the title of that is Spruce Up Your Lessons, Go Digital. Definitely encourage you to be watching for the release of that registration link. We'll share it in all of our regular places. And then tomorrow night is our traditional Thursday night Twitter chat, and I am going to just very quickly drop the link to the blog that has all of that information. Our moderators this week will be guest Amy Haven and Evolve with Kim, who is with Center Grove, and she's our regular third Thursday moderator around digital leadership. Go ahead. So HSPL, Hoosier Student Digital Leaders. I'm going to, again, drop another link in our chat window. And this really actually gives you all of this information you see here and a whole lot more. So basically, I narrowed it down to 5 quick things. HSPL, which stands for Hoosier Student Digital Leaders and can be a mouthful, is really a network, if you would, of clubs and classes where we are fostering students as digital leaders in the form of tech teams or any type of group that's working with technology and the integration of digital learning in their schools. It's open to any public school as well as certified non-public schools. We're aiming for grades 4 through 12, although some of our projects or activities are limited to grades 6 through 12. However, we want to encourage the younger groups, and we will probably develop some special things just for them as we move on. Each group is going to design their own program, so there isn't, it's not like some organizations with Microsoft or GenYes where you have to subscribe to what everybody else is doing. This is definitely design your own program. It can occur in a number of ways, but what we're doing is bringing everybody under the HSPL network so that we can share ideas and grow together. The enrollment is open year-round, so if you have an existing group, definitely join. If you want to start up a group and you're not even sure really how to get going, definitely, there's no reason why you can't let us know that you want to be a part of this, and we will get you in there. And if you just want to kind of hang back and wait, that's fine, but I definitely encourage you to be part of the community. And I'm going to share a link now that will provide anyone who is a teacher or advisor and wants to start up a group or is currently sponsoring a group to get basically registered with a network and invited into a community. And then we have a showcase planned for the spring. It will be a showcase conference. It will be April 11th, and that will be in Noblesville, and there'll be more details on that as we are able to update our web pages. Thanks, Mary. And so the Digital Media Festival will be part of that spring event, but it is open and accepting entries at this moment. So Basically what this is there are 3 types of digital media that your students can produce and submit to the festival. And we will be selecting, well, I guess you could say we will be selecting select entries for showing at the spring event. So what we're encouraging students to do is to put together a piece that's 1 to 2 minutes long around the theme of cyberbullying. And I'll drop the link for that because this is actually a web page that is currently down. So here's a Google Doc with more information. Sorry for that flood of links. But that gives you all of the information about this. And we'll move ahead just so we can get through this quickly. And then the last is the advisor community, which is on Google+. And I've already put the link in for that. That's a Google form. It kind of asks you for some background. That allows us to place a map, place your marker on a map so we can kind of see where we have teams forming. It gives us a little bit of a visual. Elementary schools, middle schools are green. High schools are red. And some of these are district level. Some of these are school level. But this community, when you get in here, it gives you a chance to start connecting with other advisors. For those of you, especially who haven't started and are looking for ideas, it's a great place to be there. And this is a member-driven community. So, like I said with the elementary, we may very well design and develop some programs or some activities that that really aren't on the drawing board right now. So I'm looking forward to having new members in there and beginning some really rich conversations. Thanks, Mary. And so now let's get to the reason why you all came. Our first presenter today is Robbie Grimes. And each of these presenters are doing phenomenal things with their schools and their school communities in terms of digital citizenship. And we asked each for a very specific reason. And I'm really excited for Robbie to share. He is an e-learning specialist at MSD of Wayne Township. He speaks to various audiences about digital citizenship and has led countless sessions and workshops for educators, including a breakout for coaches in our spring unconference last year. But one of the most important conversations he leads tends to be the one that accompanies the Wayne Township's rollout of devices to students. When they distribute devices, Robbie opens up a conversation of digital citizenship with the students in a very practical manner. And so I know he's going to have loads to share with us. So do post any questions that come up in the chat window. If Robbie doesn't catch them during his talk, we'll make sure that we get them towards the end in our final Q&A. And let's go ahead and turn the mic over to Robbie.
Fantastic. Yeah, the digital citizenship conversation that happens with our students a lot of times happens first when they get their devices. We are a Google school. We have approximately 7,000 Chromebooks in the hands of students now. Chromebook is the device of choice, I suppose. But the first, I guess, contact we have with those students is when we are distributing them to them. And so that's a perfect opportunity to not only say, oh, hey, it's a fantastic day because you're getting your Chromebooks, but, and it's not only a good day to teach them, you know, this is how you use this is how you take care of it, but here's how you use it appropriately. And as one of the things that we have found is this shift in perspective as far as the student is concerned regarding this device and does it belong to them. And one of the biggest, I think, benefits we've found is that since these devices are assigned to these students, they take better care of them and they use them in more appropriate ways simply because they, I guess, quote unquote, belong to them. They still belong to the school district. However, this particular device is assigned to them. And so what happens is they have a buy-in or an ownership of that device, and so they take care of them better. So as opposed to when it's BYOD, where you know they're certainly paying for that device, they have that device, or when the devices are on a cart, and when they're on the cart, I'm sure just like your districts, the cart ends up being something that's just destroyed. Keys are missing off of keyboards, and screens get cracked, and things like that. Whereas when that device is handed to them, and this is your device, it has your name on it, this is the one you're going to have for the next 3-4 years, then they take care of them. So not only in that meeting do we talk to them about, you know, here's the device, you need to carry it with caution, make sure that you keep it in this case that we're giving it to you in. We also bring up the idea of using it. And, you know, when that conversation comes up, it typically is perfect when we're talking about Google and collaboration in Google. Because as soon as, especially with a group of students, when we have taught them what Google is, what Google Drive is, how you can share things, when you get in a Google Doc and they can see exactly what it is that they can do with each other as far as you know, collaborating within a document, and they start writing and someone else can see it, they immediately jump to the idea that, oh, we can IM each other, we can text each other, this is fantastic, we can talk to each other all day long. Well, that typically is my direct step into digital citizenship and using, you know, technology appropriately, because they immediately jump to, hey, I'm going to get this message and I can send you back a message. And though I do tell them, yes, you can do that, you're more than welcome to communicate with each other using Google Docs. However, you're not allowed to say things like, did you see her nappy hair? Or did you see that ugly shirt he was wearing today? And so we jump right into bullying. And we also talk about the tools. I tell them about the tools that we have available as far as revision history and being able to go into that. And if you delete the document, it can be brought back. So when you're collaborating with another person, that other person, you know, has seen whatever it is that you wrote, and it's not a good idea to post something on there. And then we step into discussions of what is appropriate to post. Even though you think you might want to post it, it doesn't mean you should post it. And so those discussions that we have with students are very appropriate in that place, because they've directly made they've made the connection between, I can now sit here at my desk and send a message to one of my friends. But I also take them to, okay, that's fantastic that you can do that, but let's think about this. What if one of your teammates of your group of 4 who's working on a project happens to be sick today, and that person's at home? Could they get on this from home? And they usually make the connection that yes, they can. Well, what if you wanted to have a discussion with that person, but you didn't have, nobody has phones sitting here in the classroom? So how could you do that? And then they step into the thought that, oh yeah, I could go ahead and use this, and we could talk, basically have a conversation using Google Docs. But I also bring in other tools that they could use, like Padlet and things like that, where they could be asynchronous or it could be synchronous, and then the appropriate use of those tools, which are really communication tools, and how you would use those types of things. And when they're setting up their accounts and their profiles for Google, their typical question is, do I have to pick the pictures from those like 15 pictures that are there, or can I click the camera, or can I do this? And I typically jump them right past, you know, selecting that picture and say, yes, select a picture real quick, we'll talk about it later. When I do talk about it later, I say, yes, you can take a picture of yourself. That only adds to the ownership piece of that account and that device. But we then talk about taking pictures, and why would you want to take a specific picture of yourself, and why would you want to select a specific image of yourself as far as avatar is concerned, and what does that mean? Who gets to see that, and what does it portray about you when it is a photograph of yourself, or when it is a scantily clad photograph of yourself, or when it is a picture that represents something that you believe in, as far as an avatar or some type of other image besides a photograph of yourself. So it gives a great opportunity to be able to discuss the choices that you make when you're online and why you would want to do those types of things. And then the next step that takes is right into digital footprints, and what kind of lasting mark are you making online. And the stuff that you put online is permanent. For all intents and purposes, it's permanent. If you go in and delete it, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be deleted, because the internet isn't just one location. The internet is millions of locations across the globe that are connected and have copies of whatever it is that you put out there. So it's a good opportunity to then discuss digital footprint and what that means. Even though you're a 4th grader, 3rd grader right now, you know, when you become a 12th grader, that is this stuff that you post online right now as a 3rd grader could impact your life as a 12th grader when you decide you want to select a school, or when you want to get a position in employment somewhere. So that ownership piece is certainly very, very important. Well, then going from there, if you'll move on to the next slide, we also will work with priming the pump with teachers. I'm sure, as with your teachers, you don't have an opportunity to have your classroom teachers don't have specific time they can work on digital citizenship. They have to interweave that within their curriculum. We have the benefit of using our media specialists to specifically do direct instruction with digital citizenship. But what we also work with is our teachers. And with that in mind, we also utilize our students as professional developers. So our students, we have student-led PD that is done with our teachers to help them with the whole digital citizenship type thing and learning from other students. If you'll go to the next slide, you'll see about our Nerd Herd, which is a self-named, by the way, group of students at our Ben Davis University, and we place them behind what's called the Chrome Bar, kind of like the Genius Bar. We place them behind the Chrome Bar, and they are a self-help type group, and they are part of a group in My Big Campus, and they will post questions to those of us on the e-learning team in the technology department if they have questions that they can't answer. But these students are also ones who will lead professional development with students as well as with teachers. And I always tell our students that your job, even though you don't get paid money to do your job is to come to school, clock in at 7:30 in the morning, and clock out at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and your job is to learn. That's your job. And so you also are part of professional development, and you are learning how to learn in many ways. You're learning the content. And so if you'll go to the next slide shows one of our nerd herders, I believe that is Jatiara is her name, talking to a group of students and teachers about Google Apps and how they can utilize Google Apps, and kind of spreading the word about the nerd herd. So she's actually in that picture discussing how Google is used, how digital citizenship is involved to a group of students at Ben Davis University when they were getting their Chromebooks at the beginning of this school year. So that ends up being our students who are leading that themselves. And then the last slide just talks about how within daily use and integration, that's really where the rubber meets the road, where our teachers are able to model digital citizenship in different ways. We had last night we had a digital citizenship night for our community and for parents and students who wanted to come, and we had 3 teachers from various grade levels who discussed different ways that they interweave digital citizenship within their curriculum, because they can't specifically teach a lesson on digital citizenship. They just don't have time within their curricular day and their curricular schedule that they have to cover throughout a year. So several of them mentioned different ways that they will interweave digital citizenship, and a lot of it happens at the very beginning when we're distributing these Chromebooks, because it's all brand new and fresh, and they're just learning how to use them and applying the skills that they're going to need to be able to become a different type of learner, where they are learning with a connected device, full time in the classroom, having that device with them. So it's the stepping stone for being able to discuss digital citizenship is ripe for picking when you're delivering those Chromebooks and those devices, whatever the device happens to be, to your students, because they are excited about getting the device and they're excited to start using them, and they start with a clean slate. I tell all of the students also that you're starting with a clean slate, and any decision you make from now on will either be a good one or a bad one. Just don't be the one who makes the bad decision. So that's kind of in a nutshell how we start off and initiate digital citizenship discussions with our students, and then also through media specialists and through students, how we continue that discussion and continue that instruction with our students here at Wayne Township.
Thank you so much, Robbie. Okay, so it looks like my mic is working. I wanted to go ahead and stress what Robbie wrapped up with, because he pointed out again that it's the prime time to talk about digital citizenship while you're deploying. And there are a lot of focuses on, let's not do inoculations, let's not vaccinate kids once and be done with it. What's so critical is that he followed it up by saying we have continuing discussions, and that is just so great. I love to hear that. I'd like to welcome our second presenter today, Christy, who is from Noblesville. And if you visit Noblesville Schools website, Under academics, you're going to find a page that's devoted entirely to their one-to-one initiative with links that lead you to the different secondary schools pages. They've made a particularly strong effort at providing parents information beyond the mechanics and the legalities of a one-to-one. Christy is the technology instructional coach for the high school. In addition to the self-paced virtual course, Parenting in the Digital Age in Canva, and that's the district's learning management system, and a monthly newsletter called Parenting in the Digital Age. Christy and the Noblesville technology team have put on a parent event, much like the one that Robbie referenced in Wayne Township last night, for their community. Join me in welcoming Christy to the Learning Lab, and make sure you share those questions in the chat window. Okay, Christy, is your mic live?
Yeah, I should be on. Am I on? Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you, Christy.
Okay, great. Awesome. All right. Thank you guys for having me. This is great. If you could go ahead and go to the next slide. We're talking about, I'm just one of many people on our amazing team. Andrew Swickheimer is our Director of Technology, and he really does a great job of leading us. And a lot of these initiatives are things that he has started and then kind of allowed his team to take off with. Go ahead. So at the elementary level, we have a very specific way of teaching the students about digital citizenship with our technology paraprofessionals, and each building has one, and they actually have a technology rotation in their specials. But it's really important for us to talk to our parents about it. So in addition to the website, we actually have one-to-one pilots in each elementary. Thank you to the eLearning department in Indiana for providing us with a grant, and they got the one-to-ones with iPads in each of the elementaries in the 5th grade. And so in addition to all of this digital citizenship within the classroom, we have a parent night that the teacher puts on for every single one-to-one classroom. And so those parents came in and learned more specifically about what their students will be doing online, and how to protect them and prevent things. But we're also very looking at the positives of it, and what is the positive digital footprint, and how we can help our students to promote themselves positively in the online realm. Go ahead to the middle for me. So at the middle school, again, they have a digital citizenship lesson once a month that's created by a technology team. Actually, I'm at the middle school, one of the middle schools today. We just did some tech evaluations, and what I hear from their teachers is that, yes, this once-a-month curriculum is important, but we really are talking about it all the time. And when we, are in the moment of the classroom and talking to the students. But they are also, actually, tomorrow night is their first parent night of the year, and they will actually have like a mini conference where they'll have I think 3 different choices for parents to go to learn more about different aspects of digital citizenship and how they can support their child from home. So that is being run by our teachers and technology department. They're offering those different sessions tomorrow evening, and then they're going to have a student and teacher panel at the end for the parents to ask questions specifically about how they can support their child and their and moving to this digital world. All of our middle school students have an iPad, so we're one-to-one in all of our middle schools. Go ahead to the high school. So at the high school, we don't have a specific course or lesson per se, but we do have lessons embedded throughout the curriculum. I did do a presentation, a 30-minute presentation for our freshman students. And like Robbie said at the beginning of the year, that when we give the iPads out, there is, a quick lesson then, but it is important to have it going throughout the year. But we really stress at the high school that positive digital footprint. All of our 10th graders are blogging. They get to choose whether or not they want their blog to be public. But we talk about the benefits of an online presence and how you know, it can create opportunities for students in high school and then beyond high school. We have a lot of students that are collaborating with professionals out in all over the world. And really, they're getting experiences that wouldn't have been possible otherwise. So we just talk about how, you know, we can make this a positive experience for students. Last year, we actually had, we have this every other year, Faculty Night Live is a fundraiser that we do. And this fundraiser is literally teachers dressing up and doing skits from Saturday Night Live or creating their own skits. You can imagine it's quite humorous. The students love it. We had a male teacher dress in booty shorts and a wife beater and swing across the stage on a rope swing to the Wrecking Ball song. And so they came to me and they said, we want to do a live tweet up during this event. And, you know, it was a little scary at first because we're going to have the students on Twitter, which is, you know, out in the real world. I can't control what they put out there. But it was a great way to, you know, really model positive digital citizenship. And the students were amazing. They were supportive. We had over 300 students participate and making awesome comments, and they were really nice. And there was actually only one student that had anything negative to say. And the rest of the students really said, you know, they shut it down pretty quick. And we were actually able to talk to that student the next day, and it was more of a cry for help. They had a lot of other things going on. So just allowing students to have these times to practice positive digital citizenship in a safer environment. And our tech team is also working with our art department currently, and they're creating posters to design lessons and give information out to promote positive digital citizenship at the secondary level. That wordle you see on the right there is when I did the freshman presentation, I asked them what are some of the benefits of social media, and a lot of them use it just to connect with their family and their friends. Go ahead to the next one. So this is the presentation that I was talking to you guys about. Actually, I turned it into a Nearpod homework, so you're welcome to use that access code as if you go in as a student and then put that access code in there, you can see everything from that. So I can put that access code down in the chat window so that you can use that later. You know, I steal everything from everyone else, and I hope that you guys will take advantage of it for me as well. And then I posed this question in that Nearpod to the students as well, and it's, as a digital citizen, what are your responsibilities? And it really came down to being a good citizen, just being, you know, a respectful and responsible person. And so if we can just continue to emphasize that to our students, that, you know, your online persona and your in-person persona both need to be positive, and they both need to be respectful and responsible. Go ahead. So in our first year, the year before we went one-to-one, we had a couple parent nights, but this one that we had this year I think was our most impactful. Unfortunately, it came on a night when we had bad weather, so hopefully if we do this again, it will be better. And the link to our website is in the chat window. And if you look at the Parenting in the Digital Age, that night that we had, everything's recorded there. And it was a great night. We had people, teachers, coaches, administrators, and we had a student and a police officer, our student resource officer. They were all on a panel along with Lynn Schofield Clark, who wrote the parent app, and she actually Skyped in from Colorado. And it was a great range of people and life experiences that, you know, really provided a lot of information for parents. So we did a presentation at the beginning about parenting in the digital age, and then had this panel discussion where we had parents asking us questions. And, you know, they asked great questions, but a lot of it came down to, you know, you're still the parent. It doesn't matter if your child takes home a device or not. You know, we had to give parents the permission to be the parent. it's okay if you take the device away from your child, you know, and give them some resources. They feel because it is a device that's given to them by the school that they have to have it all the time, and they don't. So that was really good. Andy Zwickheimer, our director, actually just completed a MOOC. He started it through Canvas, their public website. You can run free MOOCs through there, and it was on parenting in the digital age. And he had hundreds of people from all over the world that participated in this MOOC. It was really neat to see the conversations from people, and you know, it's just about spreading the word. And you know, we're in a world that's different than what we grew up in. It's a world that was different than, you know, people that graduated from high school 5 years ago. So just, you know, always talking to them and talking to the parents about, you know, don't be scared, but be respectful of things online and making sure that you're having conversations with your children. So we're just constantly trying to get out that information, and I hope that others can share with us, you know, how do you get more parents involved. And I know that the night after we had this Parenting in the Digital Age presentation, our superintendent, she's brand new to our district, she had the table talk, which was, you know, at a local coffee shop, and it was just come in and ask me questions. And she had 15 to 20 people that came in, and several people came in with complaints about the iPads and complaints about technology. And her first question was, did you go to the presentation last night about parenting in the digital age? No, well, no. And so it was good. Then she could have that conversation with those people about all of the resources that we have out there, and kind of, you know, shift that conversation to the positives and the great things that can happen when we're using these resources effectively. Any questions or? All right. Well, thank you guys so much. I think that was my last slide, right? Yep.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
This is a really quiet audience. I'm just shocked. I thought for sure we'd have some more comments. So I'm going to challenge everybody. We've had 2 of our 3 speakers already talk. I encourage you to at least share one takeaway or a question that might be kind of hanging in the back of your mind at this point. And with that, I will go ahead and begin introducing our final speaker, who will bring a whole new perspective. I'm actually really excited to get to introduce Bill, because he's the guy who picked up the torch for making sure that digital citizenship stayed in the forefront of discussions for the Evansville Vanderburgh School Corporation when I left to join the eLearn team. And Bill is an EVSD eLearning coach known as a member of the ICATS team. And not only did he take up the torch, he set the field ablaze with some new and energizing approaches to engaging stakeholders in the process. Bill designed and implemented the first community-wide Digital Citizenship Challenge, which he's going to talk about, the Heroism Challenge. He engaged community members in authoring posts around the general themes of character, originality, kindness, respect, and talent. And I'm so excited for you to learn about his unique approach to this topic. Please welcome Bill to the Learning Lab, and do share in the comment box. Bill, you want to check out your mic?
Can everybody hear me? All right, spectacular. Well, my name is Bill Gumula, and I'm very pleased to be here joining everybody. What we created at the EVSC is something called the Digital Heroism Challenge, and we are getting ready to enter its 3rd year. We just had a meeting this morning to discuss some planning for it and how it's going to coincide with Digital Learning Day perhaps this year. And what we created was a series of blog posts that are from community members, and they're centered around topics of digital citizenship. And what we ask is that students blog onto those articles. They respond to the blog post with a thoughtful reply, And if they respond to all 5 posts, they're entered in a drawing for prizes. And so you can go ahead on to the next slide. So what we created was the concept of a digital hero. We wanted to try to find something that would attract students to the blog, and something that was not necessarily trying to, as Michelle said before, inoculate them about digital citizenship, but something that would just open up a discussion about some concepts. In fact, we didn't want to call it digital citizenship at all. We wanted to sort of distance ourselves from that. So that's the reason when we came up with the idea of the digital hero, and we came up with 5 character traits, and those were character, originality, respect, kindness, and talent. And what we had was a guest blogger that blogged on each of those 5 different topics. And if you can advance to the next slide, Mary. We reached out to the community to try and bring in people that the students would recognize from the community as local experts. And we would provide a bio of the person so that they could see who this individual was, and they would know that they were from Evansville. And so we included local social media experts who work with businesses on social media. We included the very first year some lawyers from a law firm in town, and they were speaking about copyright, but being hidden by the idea of one of our heroism traits. We had the COO of an up-and-coming website called The Mad Video, who did a blog post for us, and we had local performing artists that wrote for us about what it was like when somebody would steal their song or their piece or their recording of something, and how they were, a struggling local artist, and that 99-cent download was really important to them. And we also had the former author of a nationally syndicated technology column that blogged for us one year. And that was fantastic because many of these bloggers also joined in a discussion of their topic and responded to the students directly and engaged with the students directly. And so the kids were getting an expert perspective from the community, and then they were able to be asked questions from the community and then ask questions of those community members. So we had this back and forth dialogue that was happening within the blog, and students were engaging around the idea of digital citizenship without even realizing that they were discussing digital citizenship. And that was really the powerful piece. Mary, you can go to the next slide. During the first year, we surveyed students. We used a different platform than we used last year, and we were able to run a survey with that. And we asked them if reading the posts and replying had an impact on their thoughts and behavior. And this was completely anonymous and separate from the actual blog posts. So we feel like we got a fairly good read on whether the students were actually receiving the message that we were trying to put out there. And the significant percentage of students, for most questions, for most of the different 5 topics, is between 80 and 90%, somewhere as high as like 98% responded that they did think differently about the topic after reading the blog and replying to it. And so we really feel like the message was received strongly by the students, and that was a really powerful thing. So I can go to the last slide. We, over the last 2 years, have done this. We've engaged hundreds of students. We'd like to engage more, and that's something that we're working on to see how we engage more students into the discussion and get them onto the blog. But we've engaged hundreds of students from elementary school to high school in the discussion centered around digital citizenship, and we've done it without preaching to them, and we've done it in an engaging manner. We've done it utilizing technology, but in a way that also engaged community members and in a way that truly impacted student ideas and thoughts. So we really feel like it's a very positive thing. We are excited that we were discussing some of the prizes that we have available for our students for this year, and that the incentivizing of the whole idea really speaks to a lot of students. If they can get something out of the experience personally, then they're going to be more willing to participate in the experience. And so we would like to incentivize. We usually use something small and or several small things, some gift cards and some things like that, and then usually one larger piece. Like the first year, I think we had an iPod or an iPad that we gave away to one student. And what we do is draw a random, at the end of the experience, we put all the names of all the kids that have participated into a random generator, and we pull out the names of the students in one of our team meetings. And then the next day we get to be the prize patrol and go around and surprise kids and take pictures. And that's really, really fun to do. And then I get to share out onto the blog. That's also fun because then the students comment in on that and congratulate each other on what they've accomplished. And we had some very positive press coverage the very first year that we did this, and so that's the reason that we have continued it, is because we feel like it has made that impact on students, and that it is delivering to them some digital citizenship lessons that are real life and meaningful to them, and are not coming at them as a teacher talking to them or preaching to them, that is coming to them from other sources. And sometimes it means a lot when it's somebody that they recognize from the local community that's making that conversation come to life for them. So that's the Digital Heroism Challenge.
Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing. I think some people may be inspired to think about how they could do something like this themselves. And I saw some great chat happening there between Leah and Robbie. Does anyone have a question for one of our three speakers that they would like to either add to the chat box or go live on the mic with? And speakers, our presenters, are welcome to also open up the floor as well. My goodness, I am surprised. So we have a room full of experts?
I will let you know that Wayne Township, this is Robbie Grimes. Wayne Township is going to do a Twitter chat next Tuesday. We do one every Tuesday, but next Tuesday is going to be on digital citizenship. It's going to be the second one that we've done. I'll be moderating, and the hashtag is WeAreWayne. So that has been something that has picked up over the last several months. Quite a few people have become a part of our Twitter chats and the different discussions that are going on. It just happens that the next Tuesday's one is on digital citizenship. So if you're interested, it's 8 o'clock next Tuesday.
And Robbie, I'm glad you shared that, because Christy had posted in there, how are others engaging parents? And one of the things I think is really awesome about Wayne Township is they encourage parents to join in that chat. It's not just for the educators. So that's a really great way to be transparent in your conversations.
Yeah, most definitely. We have parents who are invited specifically to participate, and then sometimes some of our Twitter chats are specifically for educators, but you certainly can let anyone know about it. It was just an open discussion about digital citizenship in general, and sometimes the discussion will get to what we do at Wayne Township, but the discussions that I have been a part of on those Twitter chats are really education in general.
Deborah posted a question. Familiar were your parents overall with the concept of digital citizenship? And I'm going to speak real briefly from my experience in a coach role at Evansville when they went one-to-one. And it was a lot like what Christy mentioned. You kind of had to remind parents that they had authority over the device at home. A lot of times we had extreme cases where parents just simply locked them away, but we also had cases where parents just let their kids do whatever because they thought they were their school devices. And so having really clear communication about why does that device need to go home, how does it get used, and what are some practical guidelines for each family that can be personalized would any of the presenters like to ring in on how your parents or overall familiar with digital citizenship?
Yeah, Michelle, I'm chime back in here. I guess you know, you have all extremes, but the message that we're trying to get out is that it's not all scary and it's not all bad. And that if you teach your kids about the positive ways to do this, that they will have positive experiences, and actually some really cool experiences. We just had 2 students go up and present to the entrepreneurship class at Notre Dame on last week about a project that they're working on because they reached out to the professor online. And, you know, we have lots of examples about the positive things that kids are able to do. So I think the biggest thing is what they know is the scary thing, the child predators and those kind of things. So we have to, be wary of that, but then also to kind of show that it isn't all bad.
I'll chime in also. Even last night when we had our parents at our meeting last night, there was one mother who kind of threw her daughters under the bus, and the daughters were there, and she said that she had taken her phone away from them because they had set up social networking type sites and accounts for themselves, and the mom had the usernames and passwords, but then they went out and made their own on the side, and the mom wasn't a part of that. But then she also started talking about how she had taken the phone away from them because they took inappropriate pictures of themselves and posted them around, and the detective immediately jumped in and talked about how, okay, well, that's a felony because that's child pornography, and then if you pass it on to somebody else, that's just dissemination, and that's a Class C felony. But she was very adamant that she had taken these phones and the technology away from her student and from her 2 girls, and I said that while I applaud you for actually being active and doing something like that, you still also have to make sure that you have an opportunity for your children to redeem themselves, to be able to get back into your trust umbrella, so that you can trust them, so that they can start learning the right ways of doing things with technology and gain your trust so that they can continue using digital tools and using social media in the correct way, and not just take it all away, because when are you going to decide as a parent when it's okay for your children are mature enough? They have to gain that trust back, and giving them little tiny ways to do that is very important, and that really kind of took her down off that soapbox she was on of really kind of laying the hammer down and taking stuff away, when she realized, oh yeah, I really probably do need to think of a plan for how I'm going to now bring my children back into this situation and really educate them and teach them the correct ways of using digital tools.
I'll chime in as well here, this is Bill. Reiterate what the other 2 speakers have said. We're seeing this now in our district, less from a parent perspective. We're still seeing it from a parent perspective, but we're also seeing it now from an administrator perspective, where they're looking at students who are perhaps messaging back and forth in class, and their response to that is shut it down and take it away. And we have to constantly be informing everyone, not just parents, but administrators and teachers and students, that there are good uses for technology. There are very beneficial uses for technology, and to just take it away, as Robbie was saying, is not the answer. We have to provide students with an opportunity to go out and learn how to be responsible digital citizens. And if we just take the device away, we're not providing that opportunity for them to do that. So it's important that, yes, there has to be some discipline sometimes, but as Robbie was saying, there has to be a way for students to redeem themselves and a way for them to sort of come and fold, and you can't do that with just a blanket turn it off kind of mentality. It has to be well, we need to teach this better. And so our mantra has sort of become, that's a classroom management issue, not a technology issue necessarily. So it's the old passing notes in class. We didn't take away the pencil and the paper kind of thing. We just took away the note, and then we talked to them after class, and we did the discipline thing, and we handled it, and then we went on with our life. As Robbie just posted in the chat box, it's a behavior problem, not a technology problem. That's exactly what our mantra sort of become, is that we have to educate at all levels about the fact that it's student behavior that we need to be correcting, and it's just 21st century behavior as opposed to what we've seen in the past. And so just turning it off doesn't help teach them anything.
Denise made a really great point in the chat window, and one of the things that I think all of us are kind of saying is we also need to have a common language with all of the stakeholders, not just parents, but also building leadership, the students. In Evansville, they're actually, with the one comment Robbie shared about the mother and the police officer's response, in Evansville we had to become very clear about what we considered student-produced sexual images, because there was a task force there that was dealing with it, and they were very specific about what that was and what the consequences of those kinds of behaviors were. But there's all kinds of things, even being able to talk about assignments and understanding the LMS and what does it mean to submit an assignment. And I love at Flat Rock that you guys had parents in there experiencing that, because when you don't know what this new learning looks like, it's very easy to be concerned and raise concerns, much like Christy was saying about parents who didn't go to the evening event that they had, and still being up in arms about this new device. So really great comments from everybody. Any questions before we begin to wrap up? How many of our participants are now thinking of some new ways that they might begin engaging families and their students in digital citizenship discussions, including their teachers? Because as Robbie pointed out, what did you call that, Robbie? You were greasing the pump? Maybe I think I got that one wrong.
Yeah, priming the pump.
Priming the pump, yeah, excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, great question from Deborah to our speakers.
When I'm working with elementary kids, this is Robbie. When I'm working with elementary students, the first thing I do is put digital citizenship up on the board or some visual way, and we talk about what is that word. What do those two words mean? And we break it down, and I oftentimes will have them come up with their own definition of what digital citizenship is, and we'll talk about what is a citizen. What are you a citizen of? And we talk about, a town, a city, your classroom, the country, the earth, the solar system, things like that. We're all citizens of those things. And then what does digital have to do with? And so they kind of put together their own definition of digital citizenship, which then also steps into the ownership type thing, where they've then devised their own definition, certainly with some guidance from me. But that typically helps them kind of frame that idea of what digital citizenship is for them as younger students are concerned.
I'll agree, chime in here quickly. This is Bill again. That it is an opportunity to establish a global culture of citizenship, and it's a unique opportunity to do that. I do the same thing that Robbie did. Speaking with elementary school students, we start with a discussion of what is being a responsible citizen, period, and we take it to the next level, and we look at what it means to be a responsible digital citizen. So we handle it in very much the same way, at least I handle it in very much the same way in the attendance district that I'm assigned to when I'm speaking with elementary school students about digital citizenship.
Okay, well, I think we will go ahead and begin to wrap it up unless anybody wants to post anything further. We have lots of really great resources on our Pinterest boards. You don't have to use Pinterest in order to access those. Mary has just put our slide up that has lots of different ways that you can connect with us, including that Pinterest list. But all of these are off of the main webpage, doe.in.gov/eLearning. And I highly encourage everyone, if you have a tech team like the Nerd Herd, to become part of HSPL. And if you haven't, consider what you might want to start with in your school or district. You don't have to be a one-to-one district in order to empower students to be digital leaders. And I think that's what we really want to be doing. We want to talk about digital citizenship, but our goal really needs to be about digital leadership. So thank you all for sharing your afternoon with us. Hopefully your part of the woods has a little bit of sunshine still left, and you might be able to enjoy the last bit of light before our winter night. Thanks again to our presenters. You guys are phenomenal, and we so appreciate your sharing today.